Hello and welcome to Unwind Sessions, where right after my shift I give the highlights of my workday and answer any questions that might have been asked at a previous session. My name is Juan. I am an English, Spanish, medical video remote consecutive interpreter with over 4 years of experience. Today is Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021. Today I took a total of 31 sessions, and like always, it was a mix between video sessions and audio sessions. There were more video sessions this time, like always, but there was like probably like an hour in like the middle of my shift that I started to get nothing but audio sessions. So that is always nice because it's a little break, you know. I don't have to be there on camera. I can just lay down as much as I can on this chair. So that is always nice. Today, okay, I already mentioned how many sessions I took, and yeah, I mean, let's get to it. I have three things that I would like to talk about, and then I am going to do an about me segment, and then I'm gonna leave you with a little bit of wisdom. So, today, there was an understanding with a lady that she had chest pain, and I don't know what else was going on with her, but they told her that she should go to ER or that she should call 911. And then the lady said that she didn't want to, and she asked if she can just go to urgent care. And the provider told her that she did not recommend that she go to urgent care because at an urgent care clinic they were not prepared to actually go ahead and give her the treatment that she needed for her heart, because she needed to rule out that there was something going on with her heart because of all the symptoms that she was feeling. And the urgent care was more for like a sore throat or ear pain. And I told the lady this, and then the lady got mad, and she said, "Oh, well, I'm not having any ear or throat pain." And at that point, I knew that she had not understood. So I went ahead and I told the provider, I told her that the lady had not understood and she was getting mad. And if I could please let the lady, the LEP, know uh, what I had actually said, that she misunderstood. And I went back and I told her what she had misunderstood, and then she apologized, and we were able to get on with the call. But yeah, I mean, uh, sometimes this is the first time that that has ever happened. The lady misunderstood, and I had to go ahead and clarify to make sure that it was correct, because I know it was not me that had the problem. It was a lady. Maybe something happened in the connection. Maybe she didn't hear me. I don't know. This was an old lady. She was over 60 years old. So yeah, I had to go ahead and clarify, and everything went well after that. And another thing that happened today is that a session came in. This was a video session, and it was a man. I don't know from what country he was from, but man, he was speaking fast. Like he said his name, and I couldn't even understand them. And he spoke fast and he mumbled like, so it was like, slow down, buddy. So I told the lady, I told her, ma'am, I'm very sorry. I couldn't understand anything that the gentleman said. May I ask him to repeat what he said and to actually speak up? And I went ahead and I told him that he needed to speak up and that he needed to slow down because I was not able to understand him speaking so fast. And the gentleman actually understood, and he went ahead and he was speaking loudly, clearly, and slow. So it was perfect. I was able to get through the session, which was not a very long session. But if I had not told him that, I don't think I could have even worked the session. So don't be afraid to ask the people to do things for you that are going to make it easier for you to do your job. struggle as least as you can. If you don't understand what the patient is saying because he's speaking too fast, ask him to slow down. If he's not speaking clearly, ask him to speak up or do whatever you need to understand the patient. And I mean, we have a very hard job. It's hard enough having to remember the notes, having to take all of the notes, having to read back the notes in your target language. So it's a difficult job, and if you can do things that are going to make the job easier, like asking this gentleman to speak slower, go ahead and do so, because we have too much on our plates, like to add something else. Sometimes we are going to have to do things, like for example, um, well, I can't think. Well, yeah, of course. Speaking up, like speaking up yourself for hard of hearing patients. That one always gets me. I always make the mistake of not speaking up to the hard of hearing patients sometimes. Whenever they, um, whenever, whenever I have to interpret for them, because I have already too much on my plate, right? And I'm not used to yelling at people whenever I work. So just adding that little extra thing is just a little bit challenging. Another thing is that sometimes there's mic feedback and I have to be muting, and sometimes I forget to mute, and so that mic feedback just ruins my ears, right? So those are little things that are extra, and those things, I mean, there's no way around them. But whenever you can ask the provider to do something for you to make your job easier, go ahead and do it. And of course, they will understand because of the situation that you're in. I mean, if you can't hear a patient, you ask them to put the device closer to the patient, then of course I'm pretty sure they'll do it unless there's a reason why they can't do it, and they will tell you. But yeah, I mean, go ahead and identify the situation, identify what's wrong, and if you can ask the person to fix it, go ahead and do so, and it will definitely be a life changer. And don't be scared, it's your job, so just do what you need to get your job done. I already mentioned this yesterday, but I just feel like I can't stress it enough, and especially because at the beginning, when I was a beginner, I mentioned yesterday that yeah, I didn't have enough confidence to actually boss the people around, right? And I mean, just telling them like little cues or little things for them to do. For example, in this case, slow down and speak up, move the device closer, anything that you have to do, just like they tell you. If they can't hear you, they will tell you right away. So you have to do the same thing and don't be afraid to do it. Like I said in the beginning, I was afraid, I didn't have confidence, but now I do, and now I'm telling you that there's nothing wrong with doing that if you're in the same situation that I was. So go ahead and take advantage of that. Another thing that happened today, it was I was going to be faced against an accent that I did not understand that much. And when the gentleman said potassium with a B, potassium, I knew I was in trouble. I knew that I was not going to understand this gentleman. Of course, um, he said a lot of things, and some things I couldn't understand. And when he said potassium, I said, "Oh man, this is gonna be a hard session." But lucky enough for me, he was not the main man in the session. It was a lady. So he went ahead and he gave all the paperwork to the lady, and I had to interpret for the lady who did not have an accent. So it was a pretty easy session, but I started to sweat. I thought it was going to be hard, but I mean, it was good that I didn't have to do it. Um, of course, I would have done it anyways, and I would have asked for many repetitions, and I would have just done my job. But it was actually nice to not have to deal with that, right? Uh, so yeah, those are the highlights for today. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about me now. And so yeah, my name is Juan Prieto. I am 33 years old. I am married. I have two kids. I am from Nuevo Casas Grandes, Chihuahua, Mexico. I lived here in my hometown till I was about 9 years old. Then I moved with my whole family to Phoenix, Arizona. I lived there for 9 years, and I graduated high school over there, Trevor G. Brown High School. Go Bruins! And I came back to Mexico back in 2006, and I started working as an electrician. And after a little bit, I believe in 2007, I I started studying industrial engineering, but I didn't like it. I realized that that was not my calling, and I wasn't gonna follow it. So I dropped out before even the first semester was over. And after that, I was moving quite a lot. I lived in Juarez, I lived in the state capital, Chihuahua. Then I moved back here to my hometown of Nuevo Casas Grandes. And then back in 2013, that's when met my wife. And in 2014, we went to go live in Mérida, Yucatan, which I really miss. I miss um, the food, man. The food, the cochinita pibil. You have to try that if you haven't. But from over there, from Yucatan, like the real thing that they put in a hole and they do all kinds of stuff. And that is, oh man, it's delicious. I'm mouth watering just from remembering that. And then um, the lechon al horno, another thing that is delicious. And like every Sunday, there's a lot of parts in the city in Mérida, Yucatan, where they actually sell those dishes, and you can just go and buy like sandwiches or tortas and tacos. So it's bomb. I recommend it. But I'm getting sidetracked here. Oh, also the cenotes, man. Yeah, and they're like sinkholes over there in Yucatan, and they're fresh water, and they're all over the place, man. We live there like every weekend. We would just go to like a couple of them, two, three, and it was awesome. I really missed my time over there, but anyways, Destiny made me come back, so I came back in after 2 years of living over there. I came back to Chihuahua City, and then in 2017 was when I was lucky enough to become an interpreter. And so I quit being an electrician, and I was a customer service rep for about 4 months, and then I was promoted to a medical interpreter. It was around that time that me and my sister started with the YouTube channel Interpret Your World. And then in 2018, I was fortunate enough to be hired by the company that I work for now. So that is pretty much a little summary of my life. And right now, what I am doing, I am studying small and medium enterprise development and administration. I still have 1 year left for my degree, and I consider myself a very curious individual. Like, those little annoying kids that are always asking why, like, why? That's me. I want to know why of everything, every single little thing. I want to know why. And I've always been this way. They tell me stories of when I was a little kid that I don't even remember. And I was always very curious, very philosophical, and I still am. Um, I wish I could share those things with you, but I'll probably have to make another YouTube channel. I probably won't though. But anyways, um, yeah. So I'm that little why kid all the time, and yeah, I feel like a kid. I don't feel like I ever grew up as well. I felt the change from being a kid to being a teenager, but I never felt the change from being a teenager to being an adult. So even though I'm all grown, I'm 33 years old, I never felt like I really grew. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm not mature. Uh, got a lot of responsibilities though. What else? I also love electronic music. I am in love with electronic music. I listen to psychedelic trance, the love of my life. And I also listen to liquid drum and bass. I found that like about 2 or 3 years ago, and I love it. What else? I like working out a lot. I like calisthenics, so just body weight exercises and things like that. I like investing and trading in the American stock market and cryptos. Who doesn't do that nowadays, right? And yeah, I like making these YouTube videos. So that is it. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. I don't know what else to say. Maybe I'll do some more videos or answer more questions if people ask about me. Um, so yeah, that is pretty much Juan in a nutshell. And I told you that I was gonna give you some wisdom, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you this wisdom. This is just for English, Spanish, medical interpreters. And one of those things is words that I've come across that maybe, like when I was a beginner, the first time that I heard these words, I didn't understand them and I didn't know what they were, but they make sense if you understand what the LEP is talking about. And this is terms that LEPs use that are not correct. Like they're just pronouncing like the English terms, but they do kind of make you wonder if it's like a Spanish word or something. So let's get to the first word, and I'm gonna tell you the stories behind these words. The first word is homatena. Now, I had barely started working as a medical interpreter, so um, the it was a gentleman, and I remember this session. The gentleman said, I can't remember what was the question, but the answer was la jomatena. Now, I did not know what that was, and of course I wasn't going to interpret La Jomatena. I believe I thought it was like a lady's name or something. And then I went ahead but I wasn't sure. I didn't interpret it, and I told the lady if I could ask the gentleman to clarify that, and I went ahead and I clarified it, and the gentleman's response was La Comatena, La Comatena, La Comatena, and I was like, what? And then the lady was like, oh, that's okay, interpreter, I got it. He's saying the home attendant. So I was like, oh, well, yeah, of course, that makes sense. But I had never heard the term home attendant in my life. I studied everything, anatomy, diseases, and like professions in a hospital and things like that. But I had never heard about a home attendant. So when he said a home attendant, uh, I didn't know what he was talking about. But of course, if I had known about it, then it could have probably clicked up here, right? And I would have been, oh, it's a home attendant. And this is a word that has been used quite a few times. I probably heard this word about 5 times from 5 different individuals. So if you're a new medical interpreter and somebody mentions la homatena or el homatena or homatena, now you know that they're talking about a home attendant, and that's how they pronounce it. And so that is going to save your life. That is some wisdom that only comes from experience. Another thing is muscles. Now, I honestly wish I had never heard that word before. Um, because it's a Spanish speaking patient. So they're talking about, oh, yeah, so, and I'm going to say this in Spanish so you can see how it sounds. Sí, mire, el otro día me golpeé y me han estado doliendo mucho los mazos. Y entonces cada vez que camino me duele el mazo. No puedo mover la pierna porque si viera cómo me duele el mazo, me duelen los mazos. So now the first time that I came across this, I had to ask, right? I had to ask, well, what are the muscles? What's hurting? Uh, because like we deal with people from a lot of different countries, so you don't ever want to assume or guess. So I went ahead and I don't know if it was a gentleman or it was a lady, but the patient went ahead and told me that muscles were this. Like I don't think she had ever heard the word muscles or musculos, and that's very weird to me, but I believed her. So she went ahead and she told me that it was the muscles. So I deciphered that it was the muscles because she was telling me, she was pointing that we have muscles in our whole body. So muscles, and it turns out that I was right. And I have heard this word several times as well. When people go ahead and they say, instead of saying músculos, they say muscles. So that is a word that I have come across many times, and now I know that whenever they say muscles, they really mean muscles. So that's how I interpret it. And another word that actually surprised me is tiznes. Now, that was difficult, but it makes sense as well because this word I have heard it several times as well, and it turns out that thisness is kidneys. Kidneys, thisness, kidneys. It sounds similar, but with a T. I don't know why they sound it with a T, but they do. And so the thisness or the kisness, I've also heard thisness or kisness, and after clarifying, it turns out that it was the kidneys. So yeah, now every time that I hit thisness or kisness, I know they're talking about the kidneys. And another thing is tacho or tachar. Now, touch, that means touch. Now, in Spanish, tachar, to me, and I have to research this, I don't know, but I think that's like putting an X through something. You're striking an X, you're striking it. So it was pretty funny when they actually told me that, el tachar. And if you actually lived in the United States and you've actually um, had a lot of Chicanos or Mexican Americans, uh, if you've actually had a lot of spent a lot of time with Chicanos or Mexican Americans, that word is going to come up, and because a lot of people they do say it like that. Tacho, tachar, lo toché, te taché, te toché, and I hate it. I hate it. But uh, that is a word that is used a lot. So I already knew it because, of course, I lived in the U.S. But if you've never lived in the U.S. and or you've never been interacted with people from the U.S. like that speak Spanish and bilinguals from the U.S., you're probably not familiar with that, and you're gonna struggle with that one. But once you learn it, that's it. Every time they say tacho or tachar, you'll know it's touch. Every time they say business or kidneys, you know that they're talking about the kidneys or kidneys. Every time they say muscles, they say, it's muscles. Every time they say la home antena, well, it's a home attendant. So you are very welcome for those. And I wish somebody had told me that. That would have saved me the trouble. But of course, those are things that are only going to come from experience. And there are many, many, many terms like that. Those were the ones that I could just think of right off the top of my head. So in the future, I'm gonna be adding more LEP terminology or English pronunciations that I think will aid a lot of you in the future. So yeah, that is going to be pretty much it for me today. Please leave your questions on the comments and I will answer some of them on the next session. I'll be here every Monday through Friday after work. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video and have not done so for more content. And don't forget to share. Happy interpreting. Goodbye.